Hi, this is Chris Briggs Hale with a quick introduction to UPE Elementary School's new standards-based report card. Thanks for tuning in. You've probably heard the term standards-based reporting. However, if you haven't, standards-based reporting has been around for 20 years, and the reason why is because it's highly effective at motivating students by giving them specific criteria so that they know exactly where they are relative to the expected skills and knowledge. When you know the path ahead of you and exactly what you have to do, achievement rises, and it's motivating. A standards-based report card then reports out on your child's achievement of these specific expectations. So you might be wondering, what are standards? Well, very simply put, standards define expected skills and knowledge in clear, precise language. Standards also define the criteria that children must meet to show that they understand or can do an expected task. Let me give you an example. In Colorado, a fourth grade student must, and this is the language of the state standard, formulate, represent, and use algorithms to compute with flexibility, accuracy, and efficiency. Well, in simple language, that just means they can add, subtract, and divide and multiply. Well, that statement of skills is actually quite broad. If you want to think in terms of brain research or cognitive science, addition, subtraction, division, and being able to apply them, and being able to read a word problem and know which one of those operations to use is actually a very complex cognitive task. To help children, we therefore break it down into its small component parts. For example, being able to picture the difference between a 4 and a 9, using visual representations, an area model, or what have you. For some children, it comes very easily. They just might memorize the fact. However, if a child isn't, it's useful to have criteria to break down the skill into its component parts so that you can teach it a different way, and so that children feel free to ask, could you teach it to me a different way? We want to involve your students in learning as much as possible and engage them in the dialogue around how they learn best. Standards let us do that, and standards-based report cards are an excellent way, proven by many years of research and our own experience, at motivating kids to do exactly that. So we have these criteria, and we want to communicate to your child, as clearly as possible whether or not they're meeting the expectations. I'm a father of 3 kids, and I want to know if my kids are meeting those external expectations. Now let me just say a word about the standards. They are not our whole curriculum. In fact, we believe they're not enough. They represent a basic set of skills, the old-fashioned back to basics, if you will. But on top of that, we lay a rich curriculum that includes all kinds of skills and knowledge and good old-fashioned spelling, handwriting, and the things you've come to know and expect in school. However, it is useful for us to tell children, are you meeting these expectations? So therefore, if they are, we say they are a 3. And we break that down and explain it to them as to why they met the expectation. Another word for that is proficient. Now, if they exceed the expectation of the state standard, we say that they are a 4. They exceeded the expectation. They are advanced. Now, we always hold the highest level of expectations for kids, but if they exceed what is written in the state, we'll give them a 4. Sometimes that represents as high as a year or even more higher. And the nice thing about standards is you can look at the next year's standard to see exactly what the skills are that your child is using. That's a neat thing. It also allows children to shoot higher than the expectations by knowing exactly what it looks and sounds like. Progressing means that maybe there's a few things about multiplication or any other skill that they still need to learn. They may have memorized their facts, but they may not recognize multiplication in a word problem, for example. Those two pieces together would create the proficient number 3 level. That's very clear for kids, and we talk to them in that language. And then 1 is just straightforward, good old-fashioned telling it the way it is, not progressing. We think it's important to say whether your child is not making progress on a certain skill. That's good information as a parent. The other great thing about this way of reporting meeting expectations is that a child can ask, what is the specific criteria I must master to exceed the expectation? That's very motivating because it allows us to say to the child what it looks and sounds like. It's actually a lot like the real world, because as adults, we're regularly receiving feedback based on specific criteria. At work, we strive to know what a quality outcome looks or sounds like. We have tasks that are defined by criteria all the time. In work, it might be profit margin, sales, income, profit, and in our own lives, quality of life. We have criteria, and it's useful to explain those things to each other in terms of what you can see and hear. In order to accomplish these things at an expected level. In particular, in elementary school, young children crave specific criteria to better see and hear what it really is. Think about, for example, how you learned to ride a bike. An adult likely helped you model what the task looked and sounded like. This helped you define the criteria that, when put all together, balancing, gliding, holding the handlebars, would allow you ultimately to ride the bike. That's the task that met the standard. Standards-based reporting breaks down reading, writing, and mathematics and many other skills into this type of useful criteria. So, really there's 5 benefits for your children. First, specificity. This type of reporting defines the expected behavior with more precision. With standards, the specific skill and the level of expectation are known to your child, and if they're not, they can ask, and we'll have it. Clarity motivates children, and when they're motivated, they own their learning. They'll ask questions like, I think I can do that better now that I know what it looks like. Can I do it again? That's ownership. Consistency. Standards-based report cards report on a widely agreed expectations. The standards are not merely the opinion of the teacher. They are widely agreed upon and based on research across not only our nation, but they are held to a world-class standard. Thus, reporting on whether or not your child has met a standard gives you a true picture of achievement. It is motivating because it gives them the little dollops. Do I need to focus on picturing or the concept, or do I just need to memorize my facts? Sometimes it's just one or the other. Sometimes it's both, but it helps to know which it is. And finally, rigor. We're trying to raise the rigor of academic work in our schools and at UPE Elementary School. Standards-based report cards report whether or not your child has mastered that expected skill. When we remove guesswork as to what leads to the highest grade, students rise to bigger and bigger challenges. We know this from practice. So the shift is that standards-based report cards communicate to what level your child has mastered the required skill at this point in time. Standards don't represent our whole curriculum, and we expect a lot more than the standard. But just in terms of an objective, state level and countrywide level and international world-class level, where is your child relative to that skill in reading, writing, math, arithmetic, and science? It no longer matters if they, for example, didn't get it for the whole first month of school, or if they slacked off. If they pulled it together, got motivated, got excited, and they know the skill or knowledge now and can show it, well, they will receive a meets or even exceeds expectations mark. That's highly motivating for kids, and we know that from both research and practice. It's the demonstrated learning that matters above all else. A sports analogy is useful here. Look at this coach helping the child. The coach is giving specific dollops of information, how to hold the bat, how to place your feet, and all of the information is given in based on specific criteria that the coach knows very well and is making visible to the learner. It's a great conversation to be able to talk to kids, not just about the grades, but about what they're doing to get the grade, the work habits, the specific skills. How complex are those skills? What will you have to do? And most importantly, what does the right kind of practice look like? Kids love that kind of information. Our report card is filled with this kind of criteria and is designed for you and is designed for your child to really break down what those behaviors look like in those academic areas. What do great mathematicians at your grade level do to meet the expectation? What do great writers do at that grade, at that time, to be able to meet the expectations? But in the end, the report card is for you, and it's for your child. We want to have that conversation with you to make sure that our feedback that we give to you is really informative, is motivating, and excites both you and your child to want to know more about how your child learns and achieves at the highest level. Because frankly, that's our goal at UPass Elementary School, is the best educated children in the world. And we are honored and privileged to partner with you to serve your children. So contact us at any time if you want to know more about how this system works and how to get great feedback about how your child is learning. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great day.